Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Arm Coach Podcast, episode 16. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that at the end of the month, I'm sending one of you a $100 Visa gift card. It's going to someone who has written a review for the Arm Coach Podcast. So if you're loving this podcast, be sure to leave a review on whichever platform you're listening. So this is episode 16. I can't believe it, really. I'm kind of surprised. I've surprised even myself. I started the podcast earlier this year, and I will tell you that the moment I decided I was going to do this, the moment that I made the decision to commit, my brain went into overwhelm. I had all these thoughts about whether or not I could figure out the technology, if I would have enough to say each week, how I was going to promote the show, how I was even going to find listeners. But needless to say, 3 weeks later, I launched, and here I am 16 episodes in. I'll tell you, this really got me thinking about the results I have in my life and the results that everyone has in their lives. In the past, I would have not been this productive, really. I would have hummed and hawed and worried and second guessed myself. I would have doubted and doubted and doubted on repeat. And I bet that a lot of you out there can relate to that feeling, that sense of what you are creating or not creating in your life is not what you want. I'll tell you that everyone at some point will take a look at their life and assess what they've done and what they haven't done. And not only that, but when we make that assessment, start to try to explain why we have the results we have in our life or why we don't have the results that we want. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to break this down and really talk about the results you have, not only with your arms, but with your life. But before I go any further, I want to be really clear on what I mean when I say the results you have in your arms and your life. I want you to think about things like your physical health and well-being, your career, your relationships, and anything in this world that you create or want to create. In other words, your results are any outcomes that you have in your life that were influenced by the decisions you do or don't make. Okay, got that? The decisions you do or don't make. This is what contributes to your results. Okay, so the weather is not a result. The political climate is not a result. The passage of time is not a result. These are not results in your life. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about things like your physical health, your well-being, your career, your relationships, and anything that you create with the decisions that you do or don't make. Those are the results in your life. Now, we've talked a lot about your thoughts and your feelings and your actions and how to identify each of those. But we haven't talked a lot about how all three of these things, what you think, what you feel, and how you act, work together to give you the results that you have in your arms and your life. So think about it this way. Whether or not you exercise and eat right and set aside time to try to de-stress, that has to do with what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're acting towards yourself. Whatever you've done in your career, whether you have applied for jobs, asked for a raise, started a business, whatever you've done, all of that in your career has to do, once again, with what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're acting. And whether or not you have the relationships you want with your partner and your family, I know this is really going to surprise people, but whether or not you have the relationship you want has to do with what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're acting toward the other person. Now, I really want you to pause and really let this sink in, because this is the exact opposite of what all of us have been conditioned to believe. We have been conditioned to believe that everything we have in our lives are results. In other words, are the product of what's happening to us. We've been taught to believe that the world around us is the explanation for what we have and what we don't have. And because we've been conditioned to believe this, when you think about why you have the things that you do in your life, why you have your particular health, your particular well-being, your particular career, your particular relationships, you probably attribute all of those results to external factors. So you may give explanations like this. Well, my arms are flabby, but it's because I don't have the time to eat right or to exercise. I'm unhappy in my career because I'm stuck in this job with a terrible boss. Or I want to have better relationships, but my family and my partner keep pushing my buttons, so it's impossible. This is totally normal. We all do this. We don't attribute how we feel or how we act to what we're thinking. Instead, we attribute it to everything that we see in our external world, everything that we experience in our external world. We'll tell ourselves, I act this way and I feel this way because of everything that's happening in my life. But it's never how it is. And thank goodness. I've said this before, but it's so important that it's not this way, because imagine how powerless that leaves us. Imagine how powerless we end up being when we tell ourselves all of our results and how we feel and how we act is up to what is happening in the world around us. Once you start to break it down, once you start to really pay attention, you will see that your actions are always driven by how you feel. And your feelings are in turn always created by your thoughts. These are the things that give you your results in your arms and life. Your actions are what determine the decisions that you make, what you decide to do or don't do. It's what determines whether or not you go to the gym, lift weights, whether or not you apply for that job, whether or not you act lovingly towards your family, towards your partner. But what happens is that we don't understand that this is what's happening. We don't understand the role of our thoughts creating our feelings and our feelings driving our actions. So we don't understand that we are the ones creating our own results. And instead, at some point, we stop and we look around and look at our life and we think about what we have and we think of this isn't what I want. These are not the results that I was expecting or that I had hoped for or that I had dreamed for. It's not the results that I want. And then we start to look for the reason why. We start to look for an answer. And most of us will blame our results, will blame how we feel, will blame our actions at being at the mercy of everything around us. I want to have a better relationship with my spouse, but he keeps pushing my buttons. I want to have a job I love, but I hate my boss. I want to get in shape and tone my arms, but I just don't have any time. So we're stuck in this place where we're blaming everything around us for the results that we have. And then we're looking around and we still don't like what we see and we want to feel better. So what do? First, what almost everyone does is we try to control everyone and everything in our lives so that we can feel better. We'll put all of our attention focused on getting our family members, our boss, our partners, our kids, our body, everything to behave differently. But guess what? You don't have a lot of control over that. Even if you're really, really good at getting people to do what you want them to do, you still don't have a lot of control over it. When this doesn't work, when we try to control everything in our external environment and we're still not feeling good, we're still not liking what we see, we're still not getting the results that we want, then we really feel stuck. Now we don't know what to do. Now we really feel at the mercy of life. So guess what? We still want a solution to feel better. And I've said this time and time again on this podcast, there is no faster way to fix how you feel than to grab something to eat. The only problem is that it's not a very sustainable solution. And now here's the thing. If you're listening and you've never ate something to feel better, I'm sure that you have turned to something else in your external environment to try to change or cover up how you feel. Everyone does this. Every single person out there, and I mean everyone, has at some point turned to something in our external environment to feel better about your stressful day, the people who push your buttons, or just a general dissatisfaction you have in your life. When you look at your life and you look at the results that you have and you don't like what you see, all of us to some degree or other, will turn to food, will turn to Netflix, will turn to Facebook, will turn to shopping, will turn to accumulating or chasing after your gold stars to feel better, whatever it is. A lot of us, myself included, will turn to our phones or food so that we can pretend that we're happy when really we're not. Now, I want to be crystal clear with this because there is absolutely nothing wrong with using screens or food to feel better. And I mean that. The morality police have heaped enough right and wrong on exercise and overeating over the last several centuries. We do not need any more of that. As a society, we do not need any more judgment on this issue. It is totally unhelpful, but it is helpful to ask yourself, do you like the results you're getting from using screens and food to change how you feel? That is such an important question to answer for yourself. It's a question that only you can answer. Only you can answer that question for yourself. But I do want you to think about how much time are you spending scrolling or overeating to take the edge off of how you feel? How much time are you spending scrolling or overeating on the weekends or just as the normal thing that you do to have fun? Then I want you to think about how much time are you spending recovering from procrastination or feeling behind the next day or trying to get rid of all the empty calories that you consumed the day before or beating yourself up for not getting your arm workout done. How much time are you spending dealing with the repercussions of using screens or food to feel better? It's really important to ask yourself in your attempt to feel better by scrolling on your phone or having a snack, are you actually wasting a lot of time feeling worse? I want you to see and I want you to really understand how easy it is to get stuck in this pattern of turning to screens or food, but really turning to anything in your external environment, TV or shopping or eating or alcohol, whatever it is for you. Overworking, that's a big one for a lot of people. How easy is it to get stuck in this pattern of turning to something when you look at the results of your arms and your life and you don't like what you see? And the reason that it's easy to get stuck in this place is because most of us don't understand why we have the results that we do. We think we have the results we have in our life. We think about, that our well-being and our career and our relationships and the things that we do or don't create are a product of what's happening in our life. Instead of understanding how our thoughts and feelings and our actions, how these three things really drive and create the results that we have. You really need to understand this, and you need to understand how easy it is to get stuck in the pattern of turning to something else to feel better. And then how easy it is to start creating a whole new set of problems for yourself. So first, you're unhappy, sort of looking around at the state of your arms, the state of your well-being, the state of your career, the state of your relationships, whatever it is, and you try to control everything in your external environment, and that didn't work. Then you try to turn to things to feel better, to a drink, to food, to ice cream, to TV, to Netflix, to Facebook, whatever it is, to distract yourself from how you feel. And now you have to deal with the repercussions. You have to deal with having wasted all that time, having the disturbed sleep, feeling bloated the next day, the example that you're setting for your kids, feeling embarrassed about your arms and struggling to cover them up, whatever it is. You have to then deal with the repercussions of your attempt to feel better. This is so common. I can't tell you. And this is why I think this work is so important, because really it's not just about how much you eat and exercise. If you stop overeating tomorrow, you just stopped cold turkey, but you weren't dealing with what is truly creating the results in your life. You weren't dealing with what is truly creating how you feel and the reasons you act the way you do. Then guess what? You're just going to turn to something else to feel better. I promise you this because I have watched so many people do this and I've watched myself do this. take out over consuming screens and overeating, and it's great. I don't have to deal with the excess flab on my arms. I don't have to deal with finding long sleeve tops. But guess what? I might feel physically better. I might have more time, but I still don't like my life when I'm looking at it. I still don't like the results that I have. And when I had no idea how to fix that, when I had no framework for understanding what was creating my results in my life, when I believed that it was just my external world, guess what? I just turned to other things. I turned to alcohol. I turned to working as much as possible. So I never had a moment to be alone with my thoughts. I turned to spending money. I turned to all these things. I turned to watching TV. Before you know it, you've watched 6 episodes and just wasted the entire night away. I turned to all these things to try to change how I felt. So this week, I want you to really, really think about the results you have in your arms and life. Are you happy with your physical health and your well-being? Are you satisfied with your job? Do you feel good about your relationships? Are you going after the goals you feel passionate about? Whatever your dream is, are you making music? Are you painting? Are you writing? Are you being creative in a way that calls to you? Are you accomplishing the things that you want to be doing? Now, here's the thing. Most of you are going to say no, and that's okay. I always tell people it's just good to know. It's just good to have that information because once you know that you don't like something, well, then you can decide to change it. And the good news is that I'm giving you the framework for how to go about it. You don't have to control everything in your external life. You don't have to find the perfect partner or the perfect boss or go back and create the perfect family members. You don't have to have the perfect body. You don't have to have the perfect bank account. What you need is to understand how the think, feel, act cycle creates how you feel, how it drives everything that you do or don't do in life, and how it gives you the results that you have or don't have. Once you've answered those questions, I want you to then ask yourself, what are you regularly doing or turning to feel better about the results in your life? What are you turning to change how you feel? Are you looking at the external world and blaming it for everything that you have? Are you looking at the external world and expecting that it will fix how you feel on the inside? Or are you looking at everything you have in your life, your arms, all of your results, everything that was created by how you think, how you feel, and how you act, and taking responsibility for that and knowing, thank goodness, that you have this framework so that you can start to change what isn't working. Understanding this was everything for me. For so long, I can't even tell you, I just blamed how I felt on everything in my external world. And I spent so much time trying to feel more confident, more self-assured, less lonely, less awkward, less insecure, trying to feel the way I wanted to by covering up how I felt inside, by scrolling on my phone, by eating food, by working so much that I didn't have time to pay attention to what was happening in my brain. Anything I could do to cover up how I was really feeling. And then I had to deal with all the repercussions created from trying to fix the results in my life and cover up how I was feeling. I promise you this. Not only was I not going after what I really wanted for my body and to do in life, but I certainly was not finding the time or energy to record a podcast every week or to do all the things I really wanted to do. This is what I want you to think about this week. I want you to think about what you have in your life or what you don't have that you want to have. I want you to take a look at those results and ask yourself, what am I attributing them to? What am I blaming them on? And then ask yourself when you feel stuck, when you don't know how to fix it, what are you turning to in order to feel better? And are you spending more time on the back end dealing with those repercussions, right? The repercussions from over scrolling, overeating, from overspending, from over Facebooking, then you are using that time towards what you really want to do. So that's it for today, everyone. Let me know what you think or if you have any questions. And remember to get entered to win a $100 Visa gift card by leaving the show a review. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll talk to you all next week.